pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Frank Anderson. I am the founder of a group called the Independence Caucus. 4 years ago, I was a volunteer working on the Jason Chaffetz campaign. Jason was running for Congress in Utah's 3rd District against a 6-term compromised incumbent. And at the time, when we did that, one of the things that I most remembered, well, the 2 things I most remembered about Jason Chaffetz when he introduced himself to me is the very first time he called and told me he was running for Congress, and I said, I'd like to meet you and talk to you. How about we meet at Jim's restaurant? It's right in between us. He said, sure, that'd be great, but I'm letting you know right now, I'm not buying your lunch. And that, I said, I cannot wait to meet this guy. That was a different politician than I had grown used to meeting. The second thing that happened, you have to understand, Chris Cannon, the compromised incumbent in my district, was known as President Bush's, he was the point man for President Bush's immigration policy in the House, which, as you know, was basically a glorified form of amnesty. He was also one of the leading House leaders for President Bush's No Child Left Behind. And so when Jason was running, this really stuck out in my head. He said, I intend to go back to Washington and represent Utah to Washington instead of trying to represent Washington back to Utah like the incumbent keeps doing. And after Jason Chaffetz won election, and he's gone back to Washington, I don't know how much you know, or how much you know of that name, or how much you've been following him. They put Jason on a committee that oversees the census, and Jason was the one who noticed that a lot of census money was going to this group called ACORN. He was the one who pointed that out. He was also the gentleman who came up with a great idea, and he's sitting on the subcommittee and said, wow, we're spending $12 billion on the Census Department, giving it to groups like ACORN and things like that. We have a national workforce that goes to every house every single day. It's called the post office. They happen to be short a little bit of money. This would probably go a long way to solve both problems, couldn't it? Well, common sense like an idea like that didn't get very far, but he's known for his common sense ideas. He's never voted for an earmark. He's never voted for a budget increase. He finds it against his principles to vote for any increase in spending. The previous year was in a deficit. I'm proud that he's my representative. And after he was elected, a group of us volunteers got together and said, now what do we do? And we decided we needed to spread that message. We needed to teach what we learned, what Jason taught us in grassroots campaigns, how to win grassroots campaigns, because Jason was outspent more than 6-1 by the incumbent. Jason ran his campaign perpetually in the black. He refused to spend a penny he didn't have. And he always said, the way I run my campaign is indicative of how I would try to run this country in the budget. Okay? And we decided we needed to find more people like him. We needed to reach out with the message. As Jason said, the more we tell the message, I know people want to hear this message. Somebody has to tell them that message. We've got to get it out. So we embarked on a process of finding, vetting, and endorsing principal candidates. Candidate people who share the same principles of fiscal discipline, limited government, personal accountability, strong national defense. And we started looking for those candidates. We have an 80-question vetting process that starts where we ask people their principles. And the simple principles are things like, do you believe it's wrong to increase federal spending if the previous year was a deficit? Yes or no? Very simple. Do you believe that taxes, we should be taxing less production and taxing more consumption? Yes or no? Simple principles like that. Do you believe that the Constitution is for limited government, not for expanded government? When candidates finish that questionnaire, a panel of citizen volunteers interviews them. Those interviews run usually for 45 minutes to an hour and a half. We record those interviews. We post them online where everybody can look online and see what that candidate's all about, with no filters. No media filters, no iCaucus filters. You get to see it for yourself. And then we ask our local members, is this a candidate you can get behind and support? We require a 70% vote from local grassroots members before that candidate gets endorsed. And ladies and gentlemen, what you are here in this room tonight, you are in the room If you look up and down the sides of the road, you're meeting candidates who've passed that test, who citizens, local citizens, grassroots citizens like yourself have endorsed by at least 70%. And every one of these candidates here, I am proud to say, will represent, they have committed to represent their residents of their district to Washington instead of Washington back to their district. I think they deserve a big hand for being here. With that, I'd like to show you a short video that we're going to be releasing tonight. It's the start of a drive for these candidates. We have 92 principal candidates that we've found embedded across the country. And we're beginning a drive for them today. We'll tell you a little bit more about the drive, but first I'd like you to watch this presentation.
Clayton Trotter is a proud fourth-generation Texan currently running for Congress in Texas's 20th Congressional District. His professional accomplishments are exceptional, but today we want to take you beyond the campaign jargon. Clayton is a family man whose capacity for love is evident in all he does, including his current role as General Counsel of the Justice Foundation, where he fights for the principles of life, limited government, free enterprise, parental rights, and individual property rights. Like so many Americans, the events of September 11th are intimately woven into the fabric of the Trotter family. Clayton was with his wife in her hospital room when the events of 9/11 unfolded. 2 weeks later, their marriage of 29 years ended when she passed away after a hard-fought battle with cancer. Their son, Sergeant John Byron Trotter, was serving at the Pentagon as part of the Old Guard that morning. He was part of the team responsible for removing bodies from the rubble. It was this event which encouraged the young Trotter to re-enlist after being out of the service, and which ultimately led to another great loss for the Trotter family, as Sergeant John Byron Trotter died from wounds received while deployed to Iraq. Unbeknownst to Clayton at the time, his future wife, Leah, was ministering to New York firemen and praying over the bodies of those recovered at Ground Zero as a minister on the morning of September 11th. Leah, like so many others on site, still suffer from the inhalation of smoke and ash that tragic day. Clayton Trotter understands the sacrifices made for ensuring our nation's freedom. He now carries the torch of liberty passed to him by his son. Mr. Trotter has held nothing back for the sake of this great country, and is now willing to stand in the gap for you in the halls of Congress. By donating to the month-long iCaucus Principled Candidate Fund Drive, you will be helping not only Clayton Trotter, but nearly 100 others who share his passion for liberty and believe in principles over politics. Candidates like Star Parker, a former single welfare mother whose hard work has earned her the role of a nationally recognized social policy consultant and advocate for independence from big government through welfare reform. Your donations for the iCaucus Candidate Fund Drive will also help candidates like Janet Contreras, running for Congress in Arizona's 4th Congressional District, and Chuck Smith, also running for Congress in Virginia's 3rd Congressional District. Janet was thrust into politics after writing a moving open letter to Congress, which quickly circulated around the country and was read on national TV. And Chuck, with his vast knowledge of the Constitution and his experience as a Naval JAG officer, will be able to provide the voice of reason so desperately needed on the House floor. With your help, these and all of the other principled iCaucus endorsed candidates will receive the necessary funds to win in November. As one of our founding fathers, Samuel Adams, is quoted as saying, "It does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen to set brush fires in people's minds." We, the people, can prevail this election season and send true patriots to Washington. These are the elections to win, and this is the time to do it. Please donate today. Thank you from the Independence Caucus.